The quarterly family lunch was Mom's idea, a tradition meant to keep us close, though it always ended in comparisons. Today's venue, an upscale steakhouse conveniently located near my brother Marcus's office at Stratton Digital Solutions. "Jen, you should really apply to Stratton," Mom said as the appetizers arrived. Marcus could put in a word. "They have excellent benefits." "I already have a job, Mom," I replied. "I run a company, CloudSync. We provide enterprise cloud management software." Marcus chuckled, leaning back and loosening his tie like a Wall Street executive in a movie. At 33, he never missed a chance to remind me he was 3 years older. "A company? Jen, you've got, what, 5 people working on some app in a coffee shop?" 47 employees, I corrected, and our platform manages cloud infrastructure for over 300 enterprise clients. "Sure," he scoffed. "Dad, tell her what a real company looks like. Office buildings, boardrooms, org charts, not kids with laptops." They didn't know, because they'd never cared enough to listen, that CloudSync was one of the fastest-growing enterprise software firms in the region. Last year's revenue, $68 million. What they really didn't know was that Stratton Digital Solutions, their golden child's pride and joy, was circling the drain. Outdated tech, 3 major clients gone, stock down 40%. The board was begging for a lifeline. And what absolutely no one at this table knew was that 6 days ago, CloudSync became that lifeline. We acquired Stratton, contracts signed this morning, press release scheduled for 4 p.m. In less than 2 hours, Marcus would officially be working for me. "Jennifer needs to get serious," Aunt Lisa said from across the table. She worked in HR at Stratton, ironically. "Playing entrepreneur is fun in your 20s, but you're 30 now." "CloudSync just signed a partnership with AWS," I said casually. "That's nice, dear." Mom patted my hand like I'd handed her a macaroni necklace. "Marcus, tell everyone about your promotion." Marcus smiled proudly. "VP of Technology, youngest VP in Stratton's history, if it goes through. Announcement next month." There would be no announcement. There would be no independent Stratton next month. "See, that's a career path," Dad declared. "Director, VP, C-suite, that's how you build real wealth. How much does your little startup even make?" Marcus smirked. "Let's hear real numbers." "Last year we cleared $68 million in revenue," I said evenly. "This year, we're on track for 92. Silence drained the table. Marcus's smirk wavered. "You're making that up," he muttered. "We're an enterprise infrastructure platform. Average annual contract is $200,000. We currently service 347 clients. Feel free to check the math." "If that were true, Stratton would know about you," Aunt Lisa scoffed. "Stratton does know," I replied. "We beat you for Peterson Manufacturing, and Midwest Healthcare, and Continental Finance." Marcus flushed. "Those were strategic passes. We didn't want those accounts." "You pitched them. They rejected you. Peterson's CTO told me your software was 5 years behind." "That's not," he started. "It is," I said calmly. "Stock's tanking. Clients are leaving. Everyone in the industry sees it." Dad leaned forward. "How do you know all this?" "I run a business. I track competitors." My phone buzzed. CFO, press release queued, 4 p.m., confirming launch. I glanced at my watch, 2:47 p.m. 73 minutes until reality hit the table. Marcus seethed. "You think you're so clever. You work from your house. You don't even have a real office." 3 offices, I replied. Seattle, Austin, Denver, plus remote employees in 12 states. I work from home because I prefer it. Aunt Lisa sniffed. "If your company was so successful, people would know about you." "We're B2B, I said. "Our clients know us. That's the only audience that matters." Mom lifted her glass, trying to smooth it over. "Let's not fight. You've both done well in your own ways." She had no idea. Marcus with his established career, Jennifer with her entrepreneurial spirit. Mom declared cheerfully, "Now, shall we order?" The table shifted to lighter topics, vacation plans, neighborhood gossip, but Marcus kept stealing glances at me. His expression had changed. He was no longer dismissive, he was calculating, trying to figure out if my revenue claims were real or just talk. At 3:52 p.m., I returned from the restroom just as my phone began vibrating non-stop. Across the table, Aunt Lisa's phone rang, then Marcus's lit up. "That's strange," Aunt Lisa muttered. Why would the CEO's office call on a Saturday? Marcus skimmed his notifications, his brow furrowed. Urgent memo from corporate comms? His tapping slowed, he fell silent. I sat down and waited. Aunt Lisa froze mid-scroll. Marcus' jaw dropped. This is a joke, he whispered. What's going on? Dad asked. Marcus cleared his throat, voice unsteady. Email from Stratton, company-wide announcement. He swallowed. Stratton Digital Solutions has been acquired by. His eyes snapped to mine. CloudSync Incorporated. Silence slammed into the table. That's your company, Mom said slowly. Jennifer, what is this? You bought someone? CloudSync acquired Stratton this morning, I said evenly. I signed the final contracts before lunch. Dad blinked. You bought Stratton? For $89 million. Their board accepted the offer 3 weeks ago. Marcus shot to his feet, chair scraping loudly against the floor. You bought my company? It wasn't your company, I replied calmly. You were an employee. Now you're an employee of a CloudSync subsidiary. This is insane. Aunt Lisa was scrolling like her life depended on it. Oh my God, it's on Bloomberg, TechCrunch, it's everywhere. Yes, scheduled press release launched at 4 p.m. Scheduled? Marcus snapped. You sat here, smiling, while I talked about my promotion. You already owned the company. You were talking about a promotion that doesn't exist anymore. Stratton's leadership is being restructured. Your interview is Tuesday at 10 a.m. with my VP of Operations. An interview? For my own job? Your old position no longer exists. If you're qualified, we'll find you a role. If not, you'll receive severance. Dad slammed his napkin on the table. That's your brother. Keep him where he is. That's not how acquisitions work, I said. We didn't buy Stratton to maintain dysfunction. We bought it to fix it. Fixing? Aunt Lisa scoffed. Stratton isn't broken. Stock down 40%. 3 major clients gone. Outdated technology stack. Industry low satisfaction scores. Yes, it was broken. That's why your board sold it. Mom's voice trembled. You told us you were working on apps, a tiny startup. I told you I run an enterprise software company. You heard, cute hobby, because it was easier to believe. Aunt Lisa's voice shrank. What about me? HR will be consolidated. Your role is likely redundant. You'll receive severance and transition support. You're firing me? I'm family. I'm restructuring a company. Family status doesn't change business necessity. Marcus sank back into his chair. My little sister bought my company, he whispered. I bought a failing asset, I said quietly. You just didn't know it was failing. No one touched their food. Dad stared numbly at the table. Mom dabbed her eyes with her napkin. After a long silence, Marcus finally spoke. Tuesday, he said stiffly. What role am I interviewing for? Depends, I said. We need leaders who can adapt, not people who dismiss innovation because it didn't look like their path. He looked away. Aunt Lisa stood abruptly. I'm calling my manager. HR at Stratton can't help, I said. They're being transitioned out as well. You'll get an email Monday with your options. I made sure it's generous, I said. Aunt Lisa didn't respond. She stood and walked out of the restaurant without looking back. For a long moment, no one spoke. Dad finally broke the silence. Why didn't you tell us? If your company was this successful, why keep it from us? It wasn't a secret, I said quietly. I told you at every family dinner for 5 years. You just didn't listen. We didn't understand, Mom said weakly. You didn't try to understand. When Marcus talked about work, you asked questions. When I talked, you changed the subject or gave me advice I didn't need. You decided my path wasn't real without even bothering to learn what it was. Marcus was staring at his phone. Trade journals call you a rising star. Forbes listed you on 30 under 30, 2 years ago. How did we miss that? Because none of you ever Googled my company, never asked to see my office, never met my team. You were so convinced I was failing that you never bothered to verify it. Silence settled again. Marcus finally looked up. What happens now? That's up to you, I said. Come to your interview on Tuesday. Be honest about what you know and what you don't. Show me you're willing to learn. If you can do that, there's a place for you. And if I can't? He asked quietly. Then we part ways professionally. You'll land somewhere else. You're talented, Marcus, but Stratton, the version you knew, doesn't exist anymore. I stood, placing $300 on the table. Lunch is on me. Jennifer, wait, Mom said, reaching for my hand. Can we talk properly? About your company? About everything we missed? I'd like that, but not today. Today I have 200 Stratton employees who are scared about their futures. They need my attention more right now. Let's meet next week, for a real conversation, where you ask questions and actually listen. Mom nodded, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry we didn't listen before. I know, I said softly, but I'm not angry that you didn't know. I'm disappointed you didn't care enough to find out. Tuesday. Marcus arrived early, suit pressed, portfolio in hand. He wasn't cocky, he wasn't defensive. He was nervous. My VP of Operations, Sarah Chin, led the interview while I watched remotely. Marcus didn't posture. He admitted he didn't fully understand cloud-native systems, acknowledged Stratton had fallen behind, asked thoughtful questions. Why do you want to work here? Sarah asked. He hesitated, then said, because my sister built something incredible, and I was too proud to see it. I want to learn from people smarter than me. I want to be part of something real. Sarah walked into my office afterward. He's raw, she said, but teachable, not leadership material yet, but with humility training, he could become excellent. Offer him a senior engineering role, I said, 3-month probation, clear goals. He accepted. It wasn't smooth, his ego surfaced, he struggled taking direction from younger engineers. But he adapted. 6 months later, Sunday dinner. Marcus was animated, describing his team's new migration project. The architecture is brilliant, he said. I've learned more in 6 months at CloudSync than in 5 years at Stratton. Sarah's incredible. Dad leaned in. How's the culture different? Marcus smiled. At Stratton, we talked about innovation. At CloudSync, we do it. It's humbling, but in a good way. Mom turned to me. Tell us about the Europe expansion. I did, and this time, they listened, not politely, not dismissively. Curiously, proudly. It wasn't perfect. Old habits lingered, but something fundamental had shifted. Once, they called it playing with apps. Once, they told me to get a real job. Those apps now owned their corporation. That fake job created hundreds of real ones. But the real victory wasn't the acquisition. It was this. For the first time, my family saw me clearly, not as the dreamer, not as the rebellious one, but as a leader. Success comes in many forms. The sweetest kind isn't when you prove them wrong. It's when you no longer need to. Because they finally see it for themselves.